It's going down. Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kwadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth and sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return. And double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. And welcome to another series of It's Going Down, being brought to you by the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. UK food prices skyrocket. Data. RT.com Business is the website where this article was uploaded. Soaring costs for basic essentials have led to a decline in living standards in the country. Okay, and this is concerning the United Kingdom. Okay, one of the so-called elite's favorite countries. Okay, anything that has United on it, you really got to keep your eyes on it. It's the so-called elites. You know, they're always in the grand scheme of things, trying to unite all worlds together under their so-called religio, their religion. But as you can see, man, for damn near a year and a half now, EU has been struggling with the cost of living crisis, and really it all started with this whole situation of EU basically putting sanctions on Russia, which would restrict Russian gas flow into Europe. And ever since then, there has been nothing but a decline in Europe. Even though the United States is the reason for Europe's condition, after all, it was the United States' idea for Europe to put sanctions on Russia's gas stream to restrict the flow of gas. Because basically the whole purpose of Europe putting sanctions on Russia's gas supply was to restrict Russia's ability to give gas to Europe, to basically hurt Russia financially, because a lot of Russia's profit comes from two key components, or two essential things, and that's gas and oil. So the United States figured that by cutting off Russia's gas flow to Europe and to the United States, they could hurt Russia financially. But instead, the restriction of Russian gas flow to Europe really had no effect on Russia. You know, even though Russia was making big profits off of Europe by sending gas to them, but is it hurting Russia financially? No. If anything, it's actually hurted Europe more than any other country on the planet. Because with the lack of gas, that led Europe to being dependent on what? Energy, electricity. And that's why energy costs went up. Gas prices went up in Europe. And these things had a chain reaction which ultimately affected Europe's economy. Now food prices are being affected. The cost of living is going up in Europe. And this is all because of the idea of the United States putting sanctions on Russia's gas supply. So, British households have been hit with a record jump in food prices as decades high inflation continues to cripple the economy, according to the latest figures from the British Retail Consortium. A report by the trade body, which represents United Kingdom supermarkets, showed on Tuesday that fresh food prices soared by 17.8% in April on an annual basis, while prices for tinned goods and other store cupboard items accelerated by 12.9%. According to the BRC Nielsen IQ shop, if I said that correctly, prices were up 8.8% like last month compared to the same period in the previous year, while slightly down from 8.9% in March. Overall, shop price inflation eased slightly in April due to heavy spring discounting in clothing, footwear, and furniture. BRC Chief Executive Helen Dickinson was quoted as saying by Sky News. However, food prices remain elevated given ongoing cost pressures throughout the supply chain, she added. Dickinson indicated that some goods such as ready meals have been, ready meals, right? REMs, ready to eat meals. I believe that's what they call them, REMs. No. Well, ready to eat meals. I believe that's, ready to eat meals. Even though REMs is an acronym for other things too, which I really don't need to get into. But it says have been seeing price rises due to the knock-on effect from increased production and packaging costs. Okay, so meanwhile, head of retail and business insight of Nielsen IQ, Mike Watkins, noted that with inflation yet to peak and sales volumes most likely in decline, it's difficult to second guess the strength of consumer confidence. Okay. Official figures show last month that the rate of inflation in Britain had eased slightly but still remains above 10%, with food and drink costs at a 45-year high. According to the Trussell Trust charity, almost 3 million emergency food parcels have been handed out. You see that? Almost 3 million. Almost 3 million emergency food parcels have been handed out at UK food banks in the past year, with the number provided for children topping 1 million for the first time. And things only got worse ever since this whole Russian-Ukraine situation, right? And those sanctions. According to the Trussell Trust charity, okay, yeah, I've just read that. Okay, the Bank of England chief economist H.U.W. Peel stated earlier that British households and businesses needed to accept that they are poorer and should stop asking for wage increases and pushing prices higher. Well, wait a minute. What do you mean? What? Hold on, let's read that again. The Bank of England's chief economist Hugh Peel, if I'm saying that correctly, stated earlier that British households and businesses needed to accept that they are poorer and should stop asking for wage increases and pushing prices higher. Boy. Right. But let me ask this. What happens if the cost of living what happens if the cost of living goes up but wages remains the same? That's when oppression and depression starts to kick in. People are being compressed. They're not making enough to make ends meet. But this is what happens when the wicked has rule over the whole earth. Let's get that in Proverbs 29:2 real quick. Proverbs 29 verse 2. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. So, the wicked, which are the Edomites, so-called white men, starting with the so-called elites, trickling down to the rest of their nation of people, they are the wicked ruling the earth, which with much oppression. With much wicked oppression. Okay? You know, people can't even live normal lives with the wicked being in rulership. But we understand why they are doing this. We know why they are raising food prices. We know why they are crashing these different currencies around the world, especially the USD, because they ultimately want to bring in the NWO, just the New World Order, in order to establish their global central banking digital currency system and put everything on the grid, which will be tied to the beast system, so they can monitor and control everybody. That's all what it's boiling down to, is ordo ab chaos. They want you people to go out there and protest and you know, beg for answers, so they can come with their answer, which is what? The NWO. But with that, I'm gonna say shalom. So on to the next one.